All right, so we're going to take a look at some of these draft analysis ratings. I don't know what's going on at Yahoo, but I think some of y'all smoking some of the bad stuff, like the stuff they grow up in Kentucky. I've invited the league here, so anybody's here from the league wants to say hi in the comments, let me know you're here. More than welcome to play along. We'll take a look at this thing. And it's not even my team that is ridiculous and kind of out of control with these ratings. It's several teams. And I'm going to show you what Yahoo thinks an A plus team is compared to a D minus team here in just a minute. Holy crap. So I'm going to give it a minute to let some of my homies jump in. Like I've seriously seen some stupid. Like let's take last year for example for me, my team. I got like a D plus last year. Was projected to win one game, one game. I won 9 games, and I finished third in the league. I don't understand at all what they base their draft analysis on, but if you're going to operate a fantasy platform, you should at least understand how it works. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up another. Sorry, got distracted. I'm going to pull up another reference. To go by. Y'all just bear with me. This is mainly this. Excuse me. This is mainly for the folks in the draft we just finished. So if you happen to be tuning in and weren't in that draft, then just be patient for a minute or go get a beverage and come back in a second. I ain't waiting on Brady. All right. I don't know if Matt Hugo jumped in or not, but all right. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I hope so. So the way it broke down, we've got 3 teams that got A's of some flavor. Ashley C got an A plus. Clark of all people, and then Matthew both got A minuses. Then it's like everybody else, just like that's the only 3 teams right there that they're saying even has a shot. So I'm going to leave me out of this for a minute, but let's go look at Dalton's team, shall we? A D plus. Trying to see where the win projection was. I might have missed it. Okay, so Dalton, they're saying you're going to win 5 games with this roster. Okay. So you have arguably the best running back right here, Bijan. You have a mobile quarterback as your starter that threw for almost 3,800 yards and 30 touchdowns last year. Added another 4 rushing. You have the best wide receiver on the best team in the whole freaking league. I'm not crazy about that guy, but if his quarterback can get his head straight, he could be a beast. Then this duo of Bijan and McCaffrey. Now, we all know that San Francisco's got some serious wide receiver problems right now. So right now, the entire offense is McCaffrey, Kittle, and probably Ricky Pearsall, because they said IU could be out 6 weeks. It's probably going to be closer to 10. And then Juwan Jennings is contract dispute / dinged up. So, and I know 3 weeks before the season starts, so I understand there's still time for all this to work itself out. But if McCaffrey's healthy, we all know what's going to happen. They're going to absolutely, the entire offense is going to go through him. Okay. This Terry McLaurin thing could get ugly, but I think it gets resolved. And then, yeah, you look at the rest of the roster, and yeah, there's maybe not a slam dunk superstar, but you still got David Montgomery, who's still very much utilized. It's not entirely Jahmyr Gibbs. Montgomery will factor in at least the first half of the season, probably get a lot of goal line touches. He had 12 touchdowns last year. Let's not pretend that he's not any good. You have the best wide receiver with the arguably best quarterback in the NFL in Zay Flowers. Pacheco, everybody's looking at last year where he got hurt and came back and didn't get used a lot. Well, it's because he was coming back off a freaking broken leg. Dude is RB1 on that dynasty roster of the Chiefs. Then Calvin Ridley, who also had kind of a down year, but guess what? He still had 1,000 yards receiving, and that was with a shit quarterback. But now he's got Cam Ward, and dude was a beast in Atlanta until he kind of fell off the deep end. Then Dallas Goedert, tight end, who's still very consistent. Maybe not a focus like a Mark Andrews or a Trey McBride or whatever, but he's still Dallas Goedert, and he's still very much part of that offense. Newsflash: Jerome Ford's a starting running back in Cleveland. And Dalton, if I'm not mistaken, did you not get him with like the last pick? Was Was he your last pick in the draft? Pretty sure he was. I'm waiting for Dalton to chime in. And Detroit, I mean, I don't defense, kicker, whatever. I mean, that's usually the last thing I worry about, or unless I just get something falls in my lap. Um, so I'm sorry, but this is not a deep roster. Period. You've got some absolute game wreckers in Nix, AJ Brown, Bijan, McCaffrey, McLaurin, whenever he gets figured out, because I promise you it's going to get figured out, because Jalen Daniels is not going to go this season without Terry McLaurin, or at least they work out some kind of trade and get him somebody, because he absolutely loves throwing the football to Terry McLaurin. And then David Montgomery, Zay Flowers as bench players. Those guys are starting on a lot of people's rosters in fantasy this year. But man, miss me with that crap. That's a bunch of garbage. I'll figure out how to use this thing one day. Matt said that team looks like a donation to me. Well, speaking of donations, Matt, let's take a look at you. And kudos, by the way. Dalton and I had a little wager on the side of when you would draft Aaron Rodgers tonight. And so we're proud of you, buddy. You resisted the temptation. All right, so let me pull this up. Now, Will, you're 100% right. They have overvalued a lot of people and seriously undervalued some other players, because last I checked, this is a season long league, right? We're not just playing the first 5 weeks of the season and declaring a champ. It goes the whole season. Matt, I swear to God, if you pick up Aaron Rodgers, I will see you next week. You won't be able to hide in Tennessee from me. Aaron Rodgers, good God. Can he just go away? Like, I love the guy in his prime, but ever since he went on this peyote smoking, cave hiding, mushroom eating tirade he's been on these last few years, man, I'm just so sick of him, man. He just needs to crawl under a rock somewhere. Like, it is something serious. All right, so I got Matt's roster pulled up here. So let me full screen that. All right, so Matt, you'll have to kind of correct me if I'm wrong, because my memory from 15 minutes ago or an hour ago, it's not great. But I think you started off with Henry and Jacobs, if I'm not mistaken, then picked up Bowers. And then you've got Mahomes and Worthy, which is a pretty good, combo, obviously. Tyreek, we don't know what we're going to get with Tyreek. He's, at the end of last season, he said he was kind of unhappy and wanted out, but he showed up and, been a good soldier through camp. So, I mean, if he's healthy, if Tua's healthy, then you're still looking at a very top tier wide receiver in this league. No question. Two studs at running back. There's three things in life that you can bank on. It's death, taxes, and Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards. So I don't see that changing. Then Connor, who's still going to be the guy in Arizona, even though, there's a lot of miles on those knees, as I like to say. But Trey Benson sure hadn't stepped up. And DeMarcado, I don't know. He's like, third down kind of guy. So it's still James Conner. He's still the man. Who the hell knows what's going to happen in Green Bay in their wide receiver room? They're either all hurt or something. I don't know. But take your pick. I mean, Reed's probably – him and Dobbs are probably the best of the bunch. Golden's probably going to make a presence known as the season goes along. If they can figure out a quarterback in New Orleans, I like the Olave pick. Of course, you drafted Jordan Love. And then you go down the rest of the list with Stevenson, Williams, both starters, at least for the time being. Jordan Addison is going to take a 6-week vacation to or 3 weeks. I can't remember. There's so many suspensions right now. Addison maybe 3. I'm not sure. Anyway, he's going to start the season suspended, but when he comes back, then Mooney's going to be the number 2 target on what looks like to be a pretty explosive Atlanta offense. And of course, Matt had to get Green Bay's defense. So, I mean, yeah, pretty solid team, but you're going to sit here and tell me that this team is head and shoulders above what we just looked at with Dalton? Come on. O'Connor was a timeout pick. That actually happened to Ashley with her first pick. She did not intend to take Brees Hall with her first pick, but she was stuck flipping back and forth between players, and it ended up because she had him queued, so she ended up getting him, which is fine. I mean, maybe second round, but she was at the turn, so he definitely wouldn't have been there by the time he came back around. So a little snake bit on that, but that happens. But I mean, hey, Matt, it's at least it was somebody like Connor and not like a third string tight end. Leroy. Yeah, Matthew Golden. I couldn't tell you when. I can tell you it's going to happen. He's going to be the best receiver in Green Bay, period. Because none of the other guys are really that wide receiver one. I won't say they're twos, but they're twos and slot guys. There's really not like an alpha, X wide receiver in that room. And you look at, last year, it was kind of, you almost had to have all 4 of them and play at least 2 of them to hit the guy that was going to be the guy week to week. I'm not saying Matthew Golden's going to be it out of the gate, but at some point, probably this season, I think Golden's going to be that guy. I think he's going to be the target monster. May not be big play explosive, may not score a ton of touchdowns, but he's going to get the looks, he's going to get the targets. The kid's super fast. I mean, he's out of Texas. If you watched any of Texas last year, he's the real deal. So I like Golden. Just wasn't willing to take him that high because of we don't know when he's going to legitimately get decent playing time. No, that's right, Matt. You played it right. We know Jaden Reed's the starter. If there's a one in Green Bay, it's him. When he's healthy, he's the number 1. So you did the right thing. Absolutely. It's like handcuffing a running back. It's inevitable. Law averages. One of them dudes is getting hurt. And the way they play, probably more than one of them. So yeah, the Green Bay receivers are pretty interchangeable for the most part. So I got no issue taking Golden, somewhere in the back half of the draft. I won't throw numbers out there because I still got another draft with some of you fuckers. So I'm not giving you everything. Okay. I'm gonna give you some tidbits. Leroy, since you're here, let's look at your team or your son's team. I'm not sure who, or your AI's team. I don't know. I don't know who to address here. But welcome to the club, brother. You got a D. So and actually, you know what, Leroy? I think I'm gonna elevate my pissed off beyond my team. I think you might have gotten the rawest deal in this analysis. Let's look at this. So this is a D roster for everybody out there. You have arguably the number 1 fantasy quarterback in Lamar Jackson. You took him too early, Leroy, but that's okay. Then you have all-world Malik Neighbors, who, by the way, had 1,200 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns last year with that shit show of a quarterback room. Well, now you got Russ, and if Russ goes down, crazy crab legs himself, Jameis Winston's waiting in the wings. And if there's anything I can tell you about Jameis Winston, is he's going to sling it. And Neighbors is one of those guys that will track it down and find it. So, ew, I hope you washed your hands. Ugh. Anyway, sorry. Let me go full screen here and back up. So we got Lamar Jackson, probably arguably number one in his position. Malik Neighbors, the best receiver, not named CD Lamb in the NFC East. Could argue AJ, I guess, but he's up there. Then McConkey, who came out of nowhere last year and basically had virtually the same numbers that Neighbors did, 1,150 yards, 7 touchdowns. On an offense that's pretty prolific. Then you've got do it all Jahmyr Gibbs, 1,900 scrimmage yards last year and scored 20 touchdowns. Sorry. Then Kenneth Walker, who I know everybody says, but he gets hurt, he gets hurt, he gets hurt. And he does get hurt. And he's going to get hurt again this year. He's kind of dinged up right now. He's got a little foot thing, so they're resting him. They're not playing him. But when he's healthy, he's one of the best top 5 running backs. Then Tucker Kraft, who kind of came out of nowhere last season and established himself. And then JSN, another 1,000+ yard and 6 touchdown. So that starting lineup right there will compete with anybody any given Sunday. Now, Leroy, I will say you got a little heavy-handed with the rookies. Travis Hunter, who we all know going to be a star. R.J. Harvey projected, penciled in as a starter in Denver, although they've got like 7 running backs on this team and 5 of them will see playing time. That's my only concern with him. Then Caleb Johnson, who eventually will probably take over that backfield, but it's Jaylen Warren's backfield right now. So Johnson's kind of one of those you'll sit and wait and, God, not that you want to hope somebody gets hurt, but that's your best path for Johnson to get playing time is for Jaylen Warren to get dinged up. Rome Odunze is going to be a target monster. Herbert's fine. Dobbins and Harvey both there. So I guess you got your bases covered. Not sold on either one of them personally, but that's me. And then Golden, we already talked about Colston Loveland, who, if this offense for the Bears is anything like we think, and the offensive line is improved, it's not great, but they say it's improved. So if that be the case, then you're looking at 2 absolute target monsters because they're not going to run the ball. That's not going to be what drives the bus in Chicago. It's all going to go through the passing game. So, and even Swift out of the backfield is still, he's a viable receiver. So if everything goes the way they're planning in Chicago and Ben Johnson's able to, get Caleb Williams out of his own head, that could be a monster pair. Excuse me. Tyjae Spears did get hurt, but he's got 3 weeks. We'll see what happens. But that's a great 1-2 punch with a rookie quarterback. I'm telling you, a tight end and a running back can be a rookie quarterback's best friend. So he will see early and often. And then Kyle Williams probably at some point is going to see the field. And I like Drake May. I think they've got a good chance with Josh McDaniel there back calling the offense. But there's no way on God's green earth that this is a 5-win team. Somebody is smoking crack over at Yahoo. Gibbs was your second choice. No, he stole McConkey from me. I already had him queued up and everything. Yeah, I will say this, Leroy, because I know you're a big Bears fan. If Caleb figures it out, that NFC North is going to be stupid. That's I don't know if we'll ever see 4 playoff teams, an entire division make the playoffs. It's just mathematically very, very difficult. But if there's one that can do it, it's that one. That is going to be the best division in football again this season. And if the Bears have it all figured out, then they easily will be in the playoff hunt. I mean, that division's up for grabs. Everybody's just 100% hardcore sold on the Lions. And if you've watched my NFC North preview podcast, you'll see where I don't necessarily believe that's the case. I'm not saying it's the Bears, I'm just telling you. I'm not 100% sold on the Lions being the best team in that division. All right, so I'm going to switch over and pick up Dalton's. Did we talk about Dalton's team already? I think maybe we did. Oh yeah, Mr. D plus. Just as the best running back and the best wide receiver from the Super Bowl champions. The best running back over the last several years in fantasy football, McCaffrey, who's healthy. Geez, man, I don't know, Dalton. A D plus. That's something serious. All right. Let me go back full screen here. Oh, I was full screen. Sorry. Didn't realize I changed it. Matt not sold on the Vikings. I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why Matt doesn't like the Vikings. All right, so here's the old Hammers team. Now, mind you, this is a D minus. Is that what I got? A D minus? D plus, sorry. D plus. So with the first pick, I took Jamar Chase. I know everybody's shocked. Then came around with Brian Thomas and Drake London, the 2 alpha dog wide receivers on their team. Then Jaden Daniels was just kind of hanging there with Kyron Williams. And I didn't want to take a quarterback. I said I wasn't going to take one that soon. But since I went so heavy wide receiver to start with, and I got my thing that I do. I got my rankings sitting right there, and I'm looking at them and where their average draft position is in my mind. And some of the guys that I wanted, some of you jokers got. So Daniels was just sitting there, and I'm like, I guess I'll take him. I think he regresses a little bit this year. I don't think he has as good a season as he did last year. I'm not saying he's not going to be good, so don't anybody else watching start atting me about I said Jaden Daniels isn't going to be good. It's not what I said. I think there's a little bit of regression. More times than not, sophomore quarterbacks, no matter how good they were in their rookie season, they see a little bit of regression because they've got more film for defenses to study. And sometimes they just catch lightning in a bottle. Again, Daniels is going to be good. Just may not repeat these numbers. Okay. So Jaden Daniels, Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas, Kyron Williams, the workhorse in LA. We've seen Blake Corum, who was supposed to cut into Kyron's carries last year, did not. He ended up with 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns. That ain't changing. Then I went a little bit compared to what Yahoo thought and took Travion Henderson. I'm a little bit more sold on him, even though Ramondre Stevenson is there. Ramondre Stevenson sometimes doesn't protect the football. So, and that'll drive a coach crazy. So I went a little bit early, took Henderson, but I also backed that up with Tyrone Tracy, starter in New York, who was, had he not gotten hurt last year, probably would have hit 1,000 yards. And maybe if his quarterback didn't suck and his offensive line didn't suck and the whole fucking thing sucked, then he would have had better numbers. So I sort of took him on what I feel like he's going to do, not what he did. A competent quarterback in the NFL will make all the difference in the world for your team. And then, Brian Robinson, who's a starter, Ricky Pearsall, who's a starter. So Keon Coleman, who's a starter. So can anybody explain to me out there where the D plus on this roster is? Leroy, you're right, because, and I fell victim to this last year, and it wasn't my decision. I was in a league, a Twitter league, and they had the draft at the night. I was flying to Las Vegas. So I was on a plane when this thing started. And I had the first pick. Well, guess who the first player on the board was last year? Yep. Christian McCaffrey. I was doomed. I had no shot. No shot. And I didn't get another running back, thanks to that god-awful auto draft, until the, listen to me, 8th round. 8th round. Did not draft another running back until the 8th round. Because there was a run on them. So the best available player based on that particular platform's rankings, I didn't get any running backs. I got a crap load of wide receivers and a quarterback and a tight end before I got another running back. So these rankings, and I know it's easy when you're sitting there and you got 45 seconds to make a pick, right? And you probably queue up a few players like I either want this guy, or this guy if he's there. And then ding, it's my turn. I look at my queue. Oh, 2 of these guys are there. Well, let me see which one I want, right? I mean, that's pretty much how we all do it. And if you're not sure, then you go, okay, well, who's the best player on the board, right? I mean, am I kind of describing what you guys did tonight for the most part? Because everybody does that, me included. I still have, my notes and some names written down of guys I'm targeting. At different rounds if they're there based on where I feel their value is. Okay, but we all reference that if nothing else. I mean, we may have dead set, like Matt has been dead set, balls to the wall. I'm gonna draft Aaron Rodgers come hell or high water every year. So I don't look at the board in the draft room as the end all be all. That's why that's why I hate auto drafts, because you're going to get stuck with whatever. In my case, it was no running back until the 8th round. And then I finally got another running back. And I think it was Zach Moss who got hurt like week 4, week 5, maybe sooner. I don't remember. I just know Chase Brown. I picked up Chase Brown, but I sucked so bad that I had to pick up a running back on a team that was going to be a starter. And I dropped Chase Brown for that dude, and somebody picked him up. The rest is history. They only had like 15 spots on their roster too. It was stupid. But anyway, so I guess I jumped on here to, one, complain, not just for me, but for a couple of you guys too. I want to look at Clark's roster, Mr. A. Where is that idiot? All right, I'm going to go full screen. So I don't like Clark to start with because, well, the first part of his team name. That's enough right there. That's strikes 2 and 3. So this is supposedly this one and Ashley C. These are the two top rosters. They have Ashley going 14 and 1. Anyway, so he's got Hurts, Nico Collins, Devontae Adams. Clark, I don't know if you realize it or not, but 137-year-old Matthew Stafford's having back problems, not practicing. Anyway, Saquon, can't argue that pick at all. Achan, can't argue that pick. I had him queued up myself. Stole Kittle for. In fact, Clark, when I see you next week, me and you's going. I got a bone to pick. Me and you's going to talk because you stake bit me about 5 times in this draft. So maybe you've been watching my podcasts and paying attention, which would be great because that's a first. And then O'Marion Hampton, who he's going to own that backfield at some point. Najee playing with fireworks or whatever, the eye thing, he's going to play. So that's not just absolute, but he's the second best rookie in this draft behind Austin Genty. Then Tech McMillan, you got me again. Jamison Williams, a lot of mouths to feed in Detroit. So I don't hate the pick. Might have been a little bit of a reach. Aaron Jones technically is a starter in Minnesota. Likewise with Jacoby Myers. Egbuka, that all depends on what happens with Godwin. I think Egbuka eventually works into that starting lineup. He'll definitely play 3 wide receiver sets. Been really good at practice and in preseason, but it's going to take him a little bit probably to get on the field. Then Justin Fields, I don't hate that pick. I've pulled for and believed in and hoped for Fields probably longer than most people. I still think he's capable. He did pretty well in Pittsburgh. Now he goes to the Jets, and he's got to be the man in New York. So I think this is it. This is Fields do or die. He's either gonna, make it and be the man up there, or he's done. He's going to be another, Jameis Winston. He's going to be a backup the rest of his life. Tank Bigsby, which I don't hate. I think there's 3 backs in Jacksonville. It's kind of like the Green Bay receiver room. It's whoever's got the hot hand. I do like the Tyler Warren pick. That tight end. Ray Davis, Trey Benson, backups, handcuffs. Davis a little bit better than Benson, I think, but still. But you cannot tell me that this roster, top to bottom, is an A compared to a D with a couple of the other ones. I just don't believe it. Is it loaded with stars in the top half? Sure. But so's everybody else's. And we've got, Nico got hurt last year. Devontae's new offense, new quarterback. Stafford's having some issues. A hard time believing that Adams is miles better than any of the other receivers we saw on those other rosters. Can't argue Saquon, Achan, definitely the man if Tua stays healthy. If Tua stays healthy. Tua gets hurt, that's a whole nother story. Because let me tell you this. Tua goes down, your options at quarterback for the Dolphins are Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. That ain't good. I think it could be even worse than last year. When Tua got hurt last year, he missed 6 games. The Dolphins went 2-4 and they averaged 13 points a game over that 6-game span. There ain't no Tyreek, there ain't no Jalen, and there ain't no Achan going to be able to carry Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers. That is bad and worse options as your backup quarterback. And yes, Ewers has looked pathetic. I'll take just a real quick time out here because there may be a couple other people that are jumped on or will see this. If Arch Manning was so good that he's the front runner for the Heisman or in the Heisman conversation, and he's so good that we've got Texas ranked number 1 preseason. If he's that good, why was he not starting last year? You're telling me he couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers after what we've seen from Ewers? You want to talk about somebody overvaluing somebody? I think the media is wildly overvaluing Texas. Now, that defense is solid. That defense is going to be one of the top defenses, maybe even as good as Tennessee's defense. But I'm not sold on Arch Manning. We haven't seen enough from him. Throwing the football, yeah, we know he can run. We know he can line up and Tebow it, right? Because that's all we've seen him do, really. I couldn't tell you how good. So, but I can tell you if he wasn't good enough to beat Quinn Ewers out, Texas may be in trouble. Yeah, Matt, there ain't going to be a MILF safe in the state of New York or New Jersey or the whole tri-state area. Throw Philly, Pennsylvania in there too. Because, man, Zach Wilson on the loose. And especially if he gets to be the starter at some point, man, I'm telling you. There's going to be a lot of divorces filed in the greater New York area. And Ewers is ugly, so, I mean, he ain't got nothing to worry about there. Zach's a pretty boy, so, you know, they'll be lining up for him. But, yeah, man, I don't know, dude. I mean, if you got a great, if you got a great grade on your draft, then God bless you, I guess. And I would imagine that, this is going to be a pretty competitive league this year. Yeah, Matt, I think you got the A-. So yeah, congrats to Matt. But I don't know, man. Obviously injuries play a big factor into this, and none of us can predict that. You've got certain teams that, they've got new offensive coordinators, certain teams with new defensive coordinators. I don't know who's going to run the ball in Dallas. I guess Javonte Williams is the guy they penciled in as the starter, but Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue, the rookie out of Texas. The biggest challenge for rookie running backs isn't running the football. That's not it. It's pass protection. So the quicker the rookies pick up the pass protection, the quicker they get on the field because the coach and the quarterback have to be able to trust the running back to pick up blitz, on passing downs. So that's going to determine whether these rookie running backs see the field sooner than later. So if he can pick up the pass protection and get the coaching staff's trust, then he'll see the field pretty soon. Because I tell you right now, Javonte Williams ain't nothing special. And, Miles Sanders at one time, he was a stud in Philly, but he did nothing in Carolina to speak of after that. They brought him over in that free agent signing, and he stole money from them. So I can't imagine it's going to be a lot different in Dallas. And they ain't none of these boys big. They're all, small guys. So I don't see a whole lot of production out of the running game in Dallas at all. And I don't know why I even said that, but it's my show. I can say what the fuck I want, right? But yeah, nobody can predict injuries. So that's going to be the big thing. And then, too, like Chicago, Leroy, they revamped their whole offensive line, and that's great. You got to have talent on the offensive line. That's what cost them last year, definitely, and over the last few seasons. The offensive line's been terrible. Same thing in Carolina. It was god awful. So you got to address that. But just bringing in new players isn't what it's all about. They also have to gel. Like they have to be able to work together. And so there's a lot of nuances that, when we see, oh, this guy signed here. Well, how many times have we seen this guy sign here and then him not do anything? Well, there's a lot more to it than just that. That's true, Matt. It's all on paper. That's it. That's it. There's somebody out there that's going to surprise us. Happens every year. There's a rookie wide receiver that tears off 1,000 yards and 5, 6, 8 touchdowns. There's a rookie running back that runs for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. I don't know if we're going to see a real surprise at quarterback this year. I think Cam Ward is head and shoulders improvement over mayonnaise man Will Levis. But, typically rookie quarterbacks don't thrive. Now, we did see Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels kind of be exceptions to that rule. We saw C.J. Stroud do that his first year. But you're also talking about Heisman Trophy candidates and Heisman Trophy winner. So it's hard to, it's kind of hard to gauge them. That was not a typical rookie quarterback class. Even Michael Penix. I mean, he played in the national championship game and looked really good last year at the end of the season. Excuse me. Struggling a little bit here. I don't disagree, Leroy. I don't think anybody was expecting that season out of Saquon. We knew he was going to be good. We know he was a great fit for the Philly offense. But I don't think anybody could have predicted he was going to have that kind of season. Penix will be the starter, Matt. Penix will be the starter. No shot that he's not the starter week 1. No chance. Yeah, Leroy, that's right. I mean, offensive line has to have continuity. They can't just bring in a bunch of, big bodies that have played for 10 years that they got to play together. I mean, you go back several years to the Denver Broncos, who averaged the lightest offensive line in the NFL. It was around 285 pounds or something. And they were the number 1 rushing team. It wasn't their size, it was their technique, their continuity. Like they executed. So that's the key. All these teams that had bad O-lines last year, just because we bring a bunch of new dudes in doesn't mean they're going to be better. So I think Matt has a Penix fetish. He's awfully interested in the quarterback in Atlanta. I'm not sure what's going on there. Well, what are your guys' thoughts overall? Do you feel good about your team? Do you feel like it I mean, these rankings don't mean crap. They said I was going to win 1 game last year. And I think I put some kind of ridiculous guarantee out in the group chat that if I only won 1 game, I would do something drastic. So that still stands. Well, Matt, I know you definitely feel good about your team because you got graded out with an A. Me and Leroy and Dalton sitting over here about to fail the class. Now, I think Penix is. I mean, I like the kid when he played at Indiana. Some people may not remember he played 2 seasons at Indiana, and that team was terrible. And he got the crap beat out of it. And I'm like, man, this guy, he's too good to be at this terrible school. So he transferred to Washington, and all he did was set records and play for a national championship. So, kid's a baller. I like him a lot. So let me ask, since you guys are here, who do you think is going to be the surprise player this year? Rookie, veteran, makes no difference. Guy on a new team. guy that was hurt coming back, whatever. Who's your blow up guy? That's right, Dalton. We're going to make it work. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say either one of us, either you or I'll throw Leroy in there too, just because of the disrespect on the draft grading, that one of us is going to be in the championship. Yeah, see, Ashley doesn't care. She could go 2-13 this year as long as those two are against Dalton. She doesn't care. I love it. I can't say the same for my Ashley. She wants to destroy everybody. Like, she actually was threatening bodily harm last year when Clark beat her. Just saying it. Don't piss that little girl off. She's already threatened to burn down a basket. No, she threatened to kidnap the mascot dressed up in the ice cream suit at Baskin Robbins. And then just, I don't know if she's in here, probably not. And then just yesterday or day before, she talked about burning somebody's building down if they didn't do something. I don't remember. I was just scared and glad it wasn't directed at me. Leroy Johnson, B. Johnson. Who you talking about here? There's like 63 Johnsons in the NFL. Well, since she's here, let's just take a look at it. Let's see what the that's why I couldn't find you. You changed your team name. Dalton, I'm going to have questions in the morning. So, Ashley, I don't know if you've looked at the draft analysis, report card on your draft or whatever, but they're projecting you to go 14-1. So, Josh Allen, reigning league MVP, can't argue there. CeeDee Lamb, probably poised to have a pretty good year considering they, going to see if some of the male cheerleaders want to try out at running back in Dallas. And you got Puka, a little bit of a down year last year, but he's clearly the guy, especially now that Cooper Kupp has moved on to Seattle. Bucky Irving, who basically took over close to midseason. He may have had a game or two more, but put up over 1,100 yards. Bucky's the real deal. I don't think anybody realizes Chuba Hubbard had 1,200 yards rushing last year. I mean, if I did a show of hands or asked, hey, who had at least 1,200 yards rushing in the NFL last year, that nobody outside of Carolina fans would tell you Chuba Hubbard did. And if Bryce Young continues to get more comfortable in the offense, and clearly the offensive line improved last year, otherwise Chuba wouldn't be sitting here with 1,200 yards. So could be a very sneaky good pick. And then Trey McBride, obviously we all know Trey McBride's impact. He needs more touchdowns. Needs more red zone looks if that little midget quarterback can get him the football. And then I don't know who the one receiver is in Chicago. I just know that they probably are looking at having 3 guys on that team with 100 catches. It's very possible. He'll be one of them. And you stole TJ Hawkinson from me. I hope you're happy with your actions, ma'am. That was not nice. Didn't appreciate that. Brock Purdy, when they finally get wide receivers that can be on the field, and just a little tidbit for you. Brock Purdy has the highest quarterback rating of any active quarterback in the NFL. career quarterback rating. I thought that was a cool little tidbit being a Niners fan. Share. ETN, a lot of people sleeping on him. They're looking at last year, not what he could be this year. If that offense is better under Liam Cohen, and I think it will be. Excuse me. Then I think you probably got a steal there with ETN. I'm mad at Debo. He's fat and he's ugly. Quarterback situation in New Orleans a little shaky. So Shaheed, though, if there's gonna be a guy, he and Olave could be real dangerous if they figure out a quarterback. Then Dalton Kincaid, I thought that was a nice pick late in the draft. I don't know if Dalton talked you into this or if you had some like bad seafood for lunch or something, but you drafted a kicker awful early. That's just my observation. Don't throw stuff at me. Nobody cares about the Panthers, Matt. Nobody. Yeah, you should be. You had a heck of a draft, top to bottom. As long as everything works out, you'll be. I'm sure you'll be fine. 14 wins. That should be easy. So if you're going to go 14-1, Ashley, who are you losing to? Who's going to be the one? Oh, he does it all the time, Leroy. I should probably take notes at work of all the things he says. San Francisco needs to get healthy before they can stay healthy. That team is banged up. They were terrible with injuries last year. All right, I'm scrolling back up here because got off on a little bit of a tangent. Asked you guys who you think is going to be the breakout candidate. Dalton said Marvin Harrison. How much money we putting in? What do you guys think? I'm down for 20, 25, whatever y'all want to do. Yeah, if Kyler Murray can fix whatever's broken with him, everybody thought Harrison was going to set the world on fire last season based on what he had done at Ohio State. That's 100%. That is 100% on Kyler Murray. He's not the best route runner, but the guy can go up and get the ball at the highest point. He can outjump any DB in the NFL. So he will go as Kyler Murray goes. Matt, of course you're biased. Of course you think Matthew Golden's going to be the best breakout guy. Oh, Bijan Robinson. Okay. Yeah. The Johnson thing threw me off. I'm like, there's a lot of Johnsons. Yeah, Bijan could be the it'll probably never go to another position besides quarterback. Excuse me, but Bijan could be an MVP if we were really grading it fairly. Yeah, I love Drake London. Oh, so Ashley's going undefeated. She says that one's a joke. Somebody's joking. So see, you're mad at Yahoo too. Good. We're all mad at them. Yeah. How much do we want to donate to the Cook household this year? I don't know though, Dalton. This is not basketball pick'em. This is fantasy football. So you're gonna have to rely on your wife to win anything this year. I'm good with 25. I'm good. I mean, I'm good with whatever. As long as we don't get that stupid, I'm good. I got the Cash App, I got the PayPal, I got the Venmo. You can give me cash, but I require 2 IDs. Well, he owned everybody last year. Better do your own team, Leroy. I'm telling you. Matt said tree fitty. Is there a decimal in there somewhere? Yeah, I need to have a conversation with her because I got some questions about some of her picks, Leroy. I don't know about a few of them. So everybody's good with 25? Word. 25. All right, so that means we're looking at 200 total. Let me do some quick mathematication. So third place gets 25. That leaves 175. Do we want to do 50 for second place? That'd leave the winner $125. So 125, 50, 25. Does that sound good? Not negative 25. Sorry. So first, no. First is one. Is that right? First is 125. I ain't throwing in an extra 25. I'm determined to give third place minus $25, apparently. You get punished if you finish third. Hang on, Leroy. Let me look. I think I know it, but I don't want to tell you wrong. That's what I'm thinking, Leroy. I mean, if you want to, once I collect all the money, I'd have split it 3 ways between me, you, and Dalton, $67 a piece. But honestly, here I am talking about all of us with the D's. Y'all believe this? And keep in mind, she finished second last year. So Mrs. Hammer, as I like to call her on Twitter, Ashley H has got Baker Mayfield, who only threw for 4,500 yards last year, 40-something touchdowns. Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith as their wide receivers. Breece Hall, Chase Brown, James Cook, Tony Pollard are running backs. Mark Andrews, who still the man. I mean, he feels like he's been there for 20 seasons, but he's only like 32 years old. Still the guy in Baltimore. Then Jalen Waddle and Stephon Diggs. I mean, come on. Yeah, Diggs was hurt last year. He's 100% healthy. I'm not understanding it. Jalen Warren is the starter. I mean, it may be Caleb Johnson by the time the season's over, but Jalen Warren's the starter in Pittsburgh, hands down. Josh Downs, if Daniel Jones wins a quarterback job in Indianapolis, then Josh Downs is going to be much. I'll say it in a minute. He's going to be much more valuable than where he was drafted tonight. I mean, anybody tells me Cooper Kupp still ain't got something in the tank, I'm sorry, he does. It was just time for him to go in L.A. And then she picked up Scatabo and Najee, who is going to split time. At very least, he's going to split time with Omarion Hampton. They love to run the snot out of the football on Jim Harbaugh teams. And then Jared Goff, she absolutely stole Jared Goff at the end of the draft. And they got Buffalo's defense. So their secondary is a little suspect, but that front seven is beastly. So this is not on any planet is this an F team. So, all right, Matthew, you ain't lying. It does. I got to hop off here myself. And Dalton, I know you got to go because you got to get some beauty sleep. Ooh. So anyway, well, I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for participating, for making it a lot of fun. Listen to me get on here and ramble. And I look forward to tomorrow night, if you're included. And if not, then we're less than 3 weeks out getting this thing kicked off. So love you, mean it. Me love you long time, Leroy. I'll see y'all on the flip side.